I'm Louise, half of Hamilton Care in Kirriemuir, and today we're going to go and give you a run through some portrait techniques. So today I'm in the studio, but you do not necessarily need to use a studio to be able to create these techniques. You could use your front room, your spare room, you could use natural daylight as well. Okay, now before we launch straight into studio portraits, using daylight is actually a really lovely way to capture your nearest and dearest. The soft light that you can get through a window is absolutely beautiful. I'm going to show you a sample just now of something that we shot during lockdown of our son, just in our sitting room, a really simple backdrop, really simple window light, and I think it's definitely something that everyone should have a go at and just take in some of the techniques that we're about to go through today. And if you don't necessarily have a studio light, then absolutely you can recreate this using a window light. So what I've got today is our studio head, and on the back of it here we have a few controls, just to turn it side on to let you see. Okay, it's sitting on a light stand to allow me to be able to manipulate the direction. Now on the back there are a few controls. There's the basic on off, there's also the button to actually release the flash, and we've also got a gadget here so that it syncs with my camera so I'm not on a wire. Okay, and I've got a couple of controls. One is to make the actual modelling bulb brighter, and one is actually for the flash tube itself. Now the modelling bulb is within here, and it lets you see where the light is falling on the subject, and it stays on constantly. Because the flash happens so quickly, it would be impossible to see what effect that flash is going to have on the shape and form of the body. So this modelling bulb is just like a little guide to let you see where your light's falling. Okay, now this item here is one of my favourite attachments. This is a soft box. It's actually a square. They do come rectangular and they do come a lot bigger. This is a beautiful soft way to light portraits. It's used a lot in beauty and a lot of fashion work. And internally it has a silver background with lots of dimples, and it has a nice muslin end on it, which again diffuses the light just before it falls on your sitter. Okay, now today I'm going to take this off because what I'm actually going to shoot with is your traditional umbrella. Okay, so that's going to expose that light. Just bear with me, it's a little bit bright for a second. I'll just pop on this spell pill, that just takes away all the excess light there. Now, this is something you'll be a bit more familiar with. Okay, your trusty umbrella. And it just sits in a little hole here on the front. Okay, now the umbrella is actually designed not to be used on the front like the soft box. The umbrella actually goes this way. What that means is the flashlight bounces into this big dish that the umbrella creates, and then the light then comes this way. And that extra bounce really makes a big difference to softening the light, and it really makes it a lot more flattering. And the umbrella is actually a lot more directional than the actual soft box, so if we're going to create certain shadows on the face, it will be slightly more exaggerated with the umbrella and slightly easier for you to be able to see in camera what's happening. So, like I said earlier, if I can just bend and get this, I'm going to use one light and a reflector. I don't know if you can see that on my face at the minute, but what I'm going to do is go and get my son, who's 6, and see if we can get him to sit for some portraits. I will actually take these portraits. He's actually got a really wobbly front tooth, and I know from here on in, when that tooth comes out, he's going to have a really gappy, quite goofy smile for a number of years. So I think that actually today would be a good day to capture the last of those baby teeth. So these will actually be quite special to us, and it'll mean that you're actually getting to see some real portraits that we would take for ourselves. Okay, so I'll go get them. Okay, just turn this off. Hi, this is Karen. He's kindly volunteered to sit today for some studio portrait lighting techniques. Okay, and at the minute I've got one light set up with an umbrella, and I have also got handy here a little reflector. And as you can see, when you have one light at the side, directly at the side, as in opposite the sitter's ear, and the face facing forward, half the face is beautifully lit and the other half is in shade. If you wanted a bit more detail on this side of the face, you could pop in a reflector. Okay, now what that does is it picks up the light from the studio light and it pushes it onto the shadows on the face. Now if you didn't have an actual reflector, there's many other pieces of household items you could use. You can use a piece of white card, you can wrap tin foil around a piece of board, just whatever you think would best suit your needs. And you can see you can really make a massive difference with just one light and one reflector. Now this is side lighting, as I've said, possibly not the most ideal lighting to take a flattering portrait, but it's a really good way of showing you just how directional that light can be, and you can actually black out this side of the face entirely. I'm actually going to shoot this technique in black and white, but obviously in the video it's in colour. So I'll pop up some images of this particular side lit shot and then we'll move on to 45 degrees. I've got Kieran sitting beautifully. Okay, now he is facing the light, and the other light that we had was side lit, and here is our camera here. Okay, so the light at the minute is actually between the two, and it's actually at a 45 degree angle from Kieran. Okay, so if he was to just look out the corner of his eye, is exactly where that light is. Now that 45 degree lighting creates a lovely flattering effect on the face. It drops a lovely shadow in here underneath the jaw and the chin, and it really sculpts the face, and it leaves a lovely highlight on this cheek here, which is a lovely inverted triangle, the Rembrandt triangle, and that's something that is really classical in portraits. Okay, so this lighting you'll see time and time again, even in the movies. It's just a really beautiful way to sculpt the face using one light. If you find that that one light is a bit harsh, okay, you can pop in a reflector, and what we can do is we can lighten that and soften that side up. But for the minute, I'd like to leave that as it is, just to really exaggerate that effect. I'm going to shoot this in black and white, and again, I will exaggerate these techniques. You can use this with a window light technique as well, and if you find that you haven't quite reached that effect, you could get your sitter at home to move. Obviously you can't move your window the way you can't move a light, but you can certainly get them to sit up higher or sit up lower, or move to a different direction within the room to create this lovely 3D sculpted effect on the face. Okay, it's a really lovely soft flattering light as well, with that umbrella bouncing as well. So I will shoot that and then we'll let you see how that looks. Okay, here we've got Kieran again, sitting beautifully. Still got the 45 degree light on, creating a lovely effect on his face. And what we can do is we can add in a snoot. Now I did say we were only going to use one light, but Kieran was curious as to what it was, and I think it would be great for you to see how you can pick out the back of the head from your background, and also how you can create more lighting and sheen on the hair. We actually do a lot of hair and beauty work, so we use these snoots a lot to create some really exaggerated shape and form with the hair. So that just lets you see what that does actually to the back of the head there. It just brings in that extra bit of detail just right on the crown of the head here, and it just picks out Kieran from the background. And again, in black and white, this is going to go really, really dark, and if we were to pop in a hair light, it really would make sure that if you had really dark hair, we didn't just lose that detail into the shadows. It would actually make sure that all that dark detail was captured beautifully. I'm going to move this light from side to side just to let you see that you can actually point it very specifically in and out of shot, and what difference it actually makes. So popping in a snoot is a really lovely addition to your portraits if you're doing any kind of lighting. And actually, if I keep that on just for a sec, and I turn off the front light that's given us the 45 degree light, you'll see exactly where that's falling. Now Kieran, if you turn and look at that light, but if you close your eyes if you want to, because it's really strong, okay, and then just stop in there, come back a little bit, okay. What you can use snoot for is to really sculpt some really nice dramatic lighting. If you just take your head up to the light a little bit, Kieran, and just close your eyes, perfect, okay. Now it's a little bit dramatic, but you can see you can use it for a bit of stage lighting as well. Okay, I'm just going to pop the lights back on and get Kieran back out the dark. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to get the camera, I'm going to put it into black and white. I always like to set my camera to black and white if I plan to use the final output as that, so when I get my preview on the back, I really can see how it's going to look. It also lets me use the in-camera filters as well, and I like to put on sometimes a wee yellow or an orange filter when I'm doing portraits. It really helps with the skin tones, and if you've got someone who's very freckly, it's a really lovely way of evening out skin tone without having to actually do any photoshopping and keeping your portraits as natural as possible. So I'm going to put my camera in black and white, and we're going to do some smiling. What do you think? Yeah? Legit?
I'm gonna smile a lot.
Fabulous. If you can think of the nose as a sundial, okay? That way. Okay. Oh, I'll just hit the ceiling a little bit.
Oh, you're hitting the light, Mum.
And I'll go down a little bit. Hold on. There we go. Right, and then you're looking back at the camera. Now, it's not quite there. Okay, just give me just a sec. Oh, bless you, Kieran. And then we can see, if you come and look at me, that effect it has on the light of the hair. So what it does is it creates a lovely sheen on the top here, when I do a lot of hair and beauty work, I use this snip a lot. Bless you! Oh, lovely. I need to do that again. That's disgusting. It's just a really beautiful way to sculpt the face using one light. If you find that one light is a bit harsh, a bit of a shadow coming down from the nose, and there's a lovely highlight area here creating a bit of a triangle. Is it tickly? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my light. Karen's going to sit nice and still.
As you know, my name is Karen, and as you can see, the light is up there, and I'm directly pointing the gold side to my face, and as you can see, it's quite bright, but when you're on silver, it's much brighter. So if you can use gold, anything, silver things, shiny